Hi, and welcome to FSW Signals, a podcast from the Institute of Innovative and Emerging Technologies, where we look at the innovative things happening at the college and explore what they might mean about the future we're shaping together. Today, we're glad to sit down with Stephen Kolberg, Senior Coordinator for Accessibility and LMS Administration, to talk about the new federal accessibility guidelines, what they mean in practice, and how FSW can approach compliance as an opportunity to design better learning experiences and more. So, for people who have only heard new federal accessibility guidelines in passing, what's the simplest way to understand what's changing and why it matters?
I think it's a really important question in this space, as we've seen over the many years that the Americans with Disabilities Act has been in place. It's been revolving around that physical space of accessibility. But in our increasingly connected and digital world, this updated guidance is transforming that physical and pulling in the digital that everyone's using in their daily lives.
That makes sense, yeah. That so much of our day-to-day stuff is all done through a screen now. I've seen firsthand you bring a lot of energy to this work. And what is the most uplifting way to frame accessibility compliance for people so that it feels like, progress, not just another requirement they have to take off?
I think with having UJ Panorama, at least, it kind of gives us that little checklist that we can go after and make things a little bit better. So having that within our courses at FSW, we can go in, look at severe and major issues, and tick those off. I know sometimes we need to reprocess the course for the report, but it's something that you can just keep working with, right? You have kind of a set guidelines pathway to getting things a lot better within your course. And it benefits not only, individuals who may have disabilities, it benefits everyone, especially in the mobile space where people are on their mobile phone. As we make content like PDFs more accessible, then we make it more accessible for mobile users as well.
One thing I've noticed for sure with social media, I've started adding captions just to be accessible, but at the same time, it helps get a higher engagement because a lot of people, they're scrolling on their phone, they don't have the volume on in public, and if the video doesn't have any, captions, they're just going to skip over it if they're not listening to it out loud. But if there are captions, they'll stay and listen a little longer.
And I totally do that. I mean, I feel that's completely normal behavior. Not that I'm an accessibility specialist or anything, but, when I come across videos that don't have captions, I simply skip them. And at least with the captions, because now with everything going on, I tend to watch things on double time speed. So I end up reading through the captions really quick to get a good understanding of the video content. So that's really helpful, so I don't have to listen to squirrels too much.
And we put a ton of support behind helping the college adapt to the new requirements. And I know you personally, Steve, have done a ton of work, and I'm assuming this is encompassing most of your days until April 24th, which I appreciate, and I'm glad we have you. Can you describe some of what's been done and how people have worked together to make this possible?
What is wonderful out of all of this is not only me, but, Laura Osgood, Dr. Gesture, we've been invited to speak at different department meetings. And that's been really helpful to get everyone in the room and get people on the same page and get a little bit of learning done, or at least tell people, hey, this is where we need to make the most impact. These are the tools that we can utilize to get there, and then just kind of move forward from that. So, it's been wonderful being invited to so many department meetings because it kind of gets everyone in the same space, whereas trainings can be hit or miss depending on people's schedules.
And I think you almost said this, and one of the things I'm really looking for are what are one or two high leverage moves that departments or individuals can make right now to become accessible?
Well, the greatest one that we can accomplish is definitely alternative text for images and being descriptive about the image's purpose in terms of the content. It can be an abstract concept from times, but the important thing is if the image is there, if you're looking at it, you have one meaning from it, but if you can't see it, what are you expected to know from it? And so that's where, when we're looking at course content, we need to be mindful of how we're placing images in and how we can describe that without having someone looking at it and understanding it. Same thing in an assessment context. I always tell people, don't put the answer is B for the alt text on a test, because that would be giving, preference or, some sort of advantage to someone who's using text to speech, but provide enough information to make an informed decision. So alt text definitely is one of the most challenging things because we don't see it. It's one of those hidden attributes in an image. And then looking at our content and seeing probably what can be better displayed as a Canvas page, because Canvas pages come through within the Canvas mobile app and on the website a lot better for smartphones and devices compared to maybe PDFs where you have to blow it up and scroll left to right, up and down, which can be not so user-friendly.
I'm wondering if, in your opinion, should these standards now become part of what we teach students in terms of information literacy and professional communication?
I do. That's one of the things that, many of the professors have been asking where, okay, so I'm making my content accessible, but what if I have a discussion board, or I'm having the students post a video discussion, like, do I have to make their content accessible? And the answer, of course, is no. You shouldn't need to make their content accessible. They should make their content accessible. And so that's where we're kind of looking at the ability or putting together a student accessibility type course to give the basics on captioning for videos, captioning for audio, alternative text for images, the basics. So it makes them more valuable within the workplace after graduating from FSW.
Cool. So you and I have been working on some AI tools to assist with accessibility. And where do you see AI genuinely helping with the work, and where do you think we need to be more cautious with it?
I think we can certainly leverage AI tools. Like, that is a great area we can utilize with faculty to take off some of the heavy lifting with the alternative text for images, for instance, for converting documents maybe that are only PDFs that are an image and creating it into a full text document that can be read by everyone. So I feel that it genuinely has the ability to help. And so that's why I've been working with you, Anna, on getting my Boodlebot to a ready state to share with all of the faculty at FSW. And it'll essentially take a PDF or an image, and it'll be somewhat subject aware after an initial analysis of the image. And then it will provide suggestions of alternative text or provide an accessible alternative for the PDF that was loaded into it.
Great. I can't wait for that to be ready. It's still in our lab, so to speak, at this point.
Yeah. In terms of guardrails, of course, we need to be using FSW approved AI resources. So that's why, although I am used to other AIs, I am really trying to utilize Boodlebox effectively so we can have that as a tool for everyone.
Okay, so let's talk a bit. We've done a lot of communications out to the faculty because they obviously have the heavy lift that we're going to put them through. But as a staff member, can you tell me a little bit more of how these guidelines impact me?
Yeah, so as a staff member, it's very easy to think, oh, well, it's just course content, but we're emailing students on a regular basis as staff, so we need to communicate in an appropriate way with students, but also in an accessible way. So if I'm just taking an email attachment of an image-only PDF and I'm sending that out maybe as a flyer or as some sort of resource to the student to use, if it's not accessible, because we sometimes don't know who's on the other end of the computer, it may not be in a usable state for them. And that's where the accessibility importance comes into the equation, is email attachments, communications, social media posts. We love our emojis, but those can become overwhelming for screen reader users, and because they have their own built-in alternative text that we can't override. So there's some of those technical nuances that you have to be aware of when you're creating things, because all of us love to be that, creative graphic designer, but we need to do it responsibly.
I was just going to say one thing that we were talking about the other day, that there's some really good, completely free resources out there, like even just YouTube. If you have a video and you want to get it transcribed, you can make a private video on YouTube, upload it, and it will give you like a 99, I'd say, % accurate transcription right there, and you can edit it. But, anyone that was putting a video out there or a student that was posting it to Canvas or anywhere could really simply do that if they wanted to and have that added in.
Yeah, they certainly can. Aside from the Google Workplace subscription that we provide already to faculty and staff, YouTube is a part of that, and they can certainly leverage that for appropriate captioning. And you're right, the automatic speech recognition within YouTube has gotten so much better just in this past year, but it's not retroactive. So that's one thing to take into consideration. If you have old content, you may need to re-upload it or delete and have a new transcription created for that video. But also within Canvas, we have My Media available for students, faculty, and staff, where they also can create or upload video and audio content and have transcription, albeit sometimes not so accurate. But they have that available within our Canvas environment too.
Well, thank you, Stephen, for joining us, and thank you, everyone, for tuning in to another episode of FSW Signals. To our viewers, if there's anything you'd like to hear us talk about in the future, please send in your ideas. We'd love to hear them. Thank you for tuning in, and see you next time.